Humans are very social creatures by nature. We constantly look to others around us for guidance. This deeply affects what we decide to buy. Often we make choices because we want to fit in with a particular group, or we might want to impress those individuals whose opinions we value. Our consumer choices frequently mirror our group affiliations and connections. Consider the clothes you choose to wear, or the music you enjoy listening to. These preferences are very often influenced by your friends, your family, or your colleagues. Social identity theory helps to explain how we see ourselves in relation to others. We naturally categorize ourselves into an us and perceive others as them. This self-categorization forms a core part of our personal and social identity. The minimal group paradigm demonstrates this psychological process powerfully and effectively. In studies, researchers can create very basic, temporary groups with little real meaning. Even in these simple, artificially constructed groups, people show favoritism towards their own. They might allocate more rewards or positive attributes to their in-group members. This clearly shows our deep-seated, almost instinctual need to belong and identify with a collective. Groups hold sway over their members through different forms of social power. This power subtly and sometimes overtly influences many of our decisions and daily behaviors. Referent power is one very important type of social influence. It comes from the admiration an individual feels for a person or a specific group. For instance, we might decide to buy a product simply because a celebrity we like endorses it. Information power exists when someone possesses valuable knowledge that others desire. A friend telling you about an exclusive, unadvertised sale holds this type of persuasive power. Legitimate power, on the other hand, is derived directly from a person's formal role or position in society. A doctor advising on health-related products clearly has legitimate power due to their recognized status. Expert power is another significant form. It comes from specialized knowledge or particular skills. We tend to trust a technology reviewer's carefully considered opinion on a new gadget or software. Reward power involves the ability of a group or individual to give positive reinforcement for compliance. A customer loyalty program that offers exclusive discounts is a prime example of this power in action. Conversely, coercive power is the ability to punish or create negative consequences for non-compliance. We might avoid certain actions or purchases to prevent disapproval or sanctions from our social group. Reference groups are key influences that consistently shape our lives and choices. These are actual or sometimes imaginary individuals or groups that we look towards. They significantly impact our evaluations, our aspirations, and even our self-concept. Membership reference groups consist of people whom we actually know on a personal level. This typically includes our immediate family, our close friends, and our everyday co-workers. We interact with them often, and their opinions generally matter a great deal to us. Advertisers often feature ordinary, relatable people using their products in commercials to connect with us directly. They want these carefully crafted portrayals to feel familiar, like interactions within our own social circles. Aspirational reference groups, in contrast, are composed of people we admire from a distance. We do not personally know these individuals, but we often look up to them. These groups frequently include highly successful athletes, widely famous musicians, or iconic public figures. We might choose to buy products that they endorse or are associated with. This type of purchase is often an attempt to emulate their perceived qualities or lifestyle. Advertisers make frequent use of celebrities in their marketing campaigns precisely for this reason. They strategically associate their products with the perceived glamour and desirability of these aspirational figures. This marketing strategy effectively taps into our deep-seated desires to be like them. Reference groups can exert either a positive or a distinctly negative influence on our behavior. Positive reference groups are those whose behaviors, attitudes, and values we actively want to copy. We see them as ideal models for our own conduct and decision-making processes. Their choices and public endorsements can significantly guide our purchasing decisions in the marketplace. For example, if a highly respected environmental organization formally approves a particular eco-friendly food item, we might then be much more inclined to purchase that specific product. Their official approval adds a substantial layer of trust and much-needed credibility to the item. This, in turn, makes the product considerably more appealing and trustworthy to us as consumers. Negative reference groups, which are often called avoidance groups, are also surprisingly influential. These are specific groups whose values, lifestyles, or actions we actively and consciously reject. We deliberately try to distance ourselves from any association with them or their choices. This means we might carefully avoid buying certain brands if they become strongly associated with such groups. For instance, if a particular clothing brand suddenly becomes very popular with a group you dislike, you might then make a conscious decision to stop wearing or purchasing items from that brand. Anti-brand communities take this concept of rejection even further into active opposition. These groups unite specifically to express their collective dislike or disapproval of a particular brand or company. Conformity describes a fundamental change in an individual's beliefs or their observable actions. It often happens as a direct reaction to real or even merely imagined group pressure. Several distinct psychological and social factors make us significantly more likely to conform to group norms. Cultural pressures, for instance, play a very significant and pervasive role in this process. Societies around the world actively encourage conformity through widely accepted norms, customs, and social sanctions. Fear of deviance or being seen as different is another powerful motivator for conformity. We often worry about being criticized, ridiculed, or even ostracized if we differ too much from the group. Strong commitment to a group also naturally increases conformity. We value its opinion and seek its approval. Group unanimity, its overall size, and its perceived expertise are also critically important factors. When a group is completely unanimous in its opinion or behavior, it is much harder to resist. Larger groups, by their sheer numbers, can often exert more significant pressure to conform. If the group is perceived by its members as being highly credible or particularly expert, we are generally more likely to follow its lead without much question. Susceptibility to interpersonal influence also varies considerably among different individuals within any group. Some people are simply naturally more attuned to and affected by others' opinions and expectations. Even subtle environmental cues, such as being in a very formal setting, can directly affect conformity levels. A brand community represents a fascinating and increasingly common group phenomenon in modern consumer culture. It is essentially a specialized, non-geographically bound set of consumers. They share strong social bonds and a sense of collective identity. These important bonds are primarily based on their shared interest in or their dedicated use of a specific product. Members of a strong brand community feel deeply connected to the brand itself. They also often feel a strong sense of camaraderie and connection to their fellow users. Think of dedicated Harley-Davidson motorcycle riders or the enthusiastic early adopters of Apple computer products. They frequently have their own unique rituals, specialized language, and a shared understanding of their community. Word-of-mouth communication is an incredibly influential force in the marketplace. This refers to product or service information that is transmitted directly by individuals to other individuals. We, as consumers, tend to trust word-of-mouth recommendations much more than traditional formal marketing messages. This is largely because it often comes from people we know personally or who seem unbiased. Positive word-of-mouth can greatly increase a product's visibility, desirability, and ultimate popularity. Satisfied customers can become extremely powerful, unpaid advocates for a brand they love. However, it is crucial to remember that negative word-of-mouth can be extremely damaging to a brand's reputation. Unhappy customers tend to share their bad experiences widely and very quickly with others. Opinion leaders are those particular individuals who frequently and significantly influence others' choices. Their specific advice is often actively sought for decisions about various products or services. They are typically very knowledgeable about certain specific product categories or market trends. Key characteristics of opinion leaders include being recognized as an expert in certain specific areas. They are also usually quite socially active and very well connected within their community or network. Importantly, they are often demographically and psychologically similar to the consumers they influence. They are also typically early adopters, among the first to try out new products and services. Their perceived lack of bias or commercial interest makes their recommendations highly credible and trustworthy. Market mavens are distinct individuals who are actively and broadly involved in the marketplace. They genuinely enjoy transmitting all types of market information to others, not just about one product. They usually know how and where to acquire a wide array of products and services. A surrogate consumer, on the other hand, is a third party who is hired to provide input into purchase decisions. Common examples of surrogate consumers include interior decorators, personal stylists, or professional financial shoppers. Marketers try to find and engage opinion leaders through various methods, such as self-designation surveys. They also frequently use key informants within a community to help identify these influential people. These proactive strategies help businesses to more effectively target and leverage key social influencers. Online social communities can thrive and become very successful under certain specific conditions. Having clear, well-communicated standards for behavior helps to maintain a positive and productive online environment. Actively encouraging diverse member contributions fosters a sense of engagement and collective value. A strong and palpable sense of connectedness among members keeps them returning and participating. Digital word of mouth is now rampant and incredibly powerful across the internet. This includes things like online product reviews, detailed forum discussions, and countless social media posts. Digital opinion leaders such as popular bloggers, YouTubers, and Instagram influencers are extremely powerful. They can effectively sway the opinions and purchasing decisions of thousands or even millions of followers. In conclusion, various group influences are a constant and pervasive factor in our lives. They profoundly shape our consumer decisions and behaviors every single day, often without our full awareness. This influence ranges from the subtle power dynamics within our small, close-knit groups. It extends to the vast, sprawling networks of large online communities and social media platforms. Our deep-seated human desire to belong, to be admired, or to simply avoid disapproval drives many choices. Reference groups, trusted opinion leaders, and passionate brand tribes all play their distinct and important part. Understanding these complex social forces is absolutely key for marketers aiming to connect with consumers. It is also vitally important for us as consumers navigating the complexities of the modern marketplace.